I would like to invite Dr. Paroda for his guidance in the area of international agriculture in general and maybe in integrated breeding in particular. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Paroda.
Rajiv, you have taken me by surprise that I am supposed to speak. I thought you said come and attend the plenary. I said I would be very happy to do that. Dr. Gowda, Jean Marshall, Rajiv, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great privilege to be here and to attend this plenary session of very important international conference which has been organized here. I have been hearing since yesterday about deliberations and the wealth of deliberations. And I do presume that in this whole process of last 2 days, or 3 days I presume, the difference between generation must have been erased. We just now saw the difference between the old guards like Dr. Gowda and the new generation like Rajiv. It's like, telephone. In our times, we used to use telephone. And my son gave me a smartphone and I was again talking to him. And he said, why you are talking? Why don't you go on Facebook or why don't you exchange through WhatsApp? Which I didn't know. So even if you have tools and if you don't know, it's of no use. So the point is that how best we can make use of any technology. And it's not a conflict this versus that. So it's the change of mindset, particularly as the first requirement. And second is that we have to keep into consideration all the time the need of that smallholder farmer. And in that respect, what he needs today is he needs to increase his productivity, he wants to have more income, and he wants to reduce cost on inputs. So when we start doing this in the national context and in terms of research needs, clearly biotechnology has its own advantage and should be recognized. It's unfortunate that sometimes political support gets dwindled as it is currently in our country. But if it had been at that time when we knowingly and committedly went ahead and released BT cotton in India, possibly BT cotton would have never come. And if BT cotton would have never come, we had no case to convince anyone that this is good for farmers. Then we started strengthening our biotech program, and I'm happy that this has been done. A lot of investments have gone in. Public sector is coming up with many of the new inventions and their own constructs of new genes, and genomics has helped. But when we had debate and discussion on this issue, that how we can be useful to the end user, it came out clearly that those who had knowledge of genomics didn't have knowledge of field work. And those who had knowledge of field work didn't know how to make that particular innovation, that particular rather technology into innovation. So the issue is that we need innovation, and for that we need to have linkage, and we then realize that you need a public-private partnership, without which it is not possible. And we also realize that there are certain traits which cannot be easily addressed unless you even go for genetically modified organisms. In the process now, we feel that we are on crossroads, and many countries are advancing, and we therefore initiated a regional program on biotechnology which we call Asia Pacific Consortium on Agricultural Biotechnology, and debated on various aspects of not only public-private partnership but also in the context of research needs and ensuring that benefits reach to the end user, including the concerns for biosafety and biosecurity. And in that we realize that while we come out with one aspect in the lab with good innovations, then it needs a lot of input from other equally important stakeholders, even intellectual property right issues, legal issues, and also taking advantage of those data which you generate in large number as to which are the QTLs you can really harness for your own benefits. So in that context, we have to prioritize. We cannot have open-ended research. That's what is our concern. Our public system must come out and deliver. It is not the soft approach which is needed, and we have realized that there are many products which are now ready to go to the field, whether it is in China, whether it is BT rice, whether it is golden rice with IRI, whether it is BT brinjal with India. But unfortunately in this region the GMOs have, other than Philippines, not drawn attention, and now Bangladesh has boldly come forward. India couldn't, but Bangladesh has adopted BT brinjal and released it. So I do see that there is policy paralysis currently in many countries don't have informed knowledge, and those who speak on the road have more vocal voice than the scientists who work in the labs. So we need to be more aggressive. We also need to take benefit of through networking, like Generation Challenge program. There is enough useful lead, and one can take benefit to address concerns of micronutrients deficiency, protein deficiency, malnutrition, and also we can address the concerns of biotic and abiotic stress in the context of climate change. So I don't want to make a longer speech. I didn't know what to talk, but you have put me in a tight spot. Nevertheless, I am, promoter of biotechnology. I am convinced that it is needed, and when I am now working with farmers, I know that they want to reduce cost on input, and their maximum cost is either on pesticide or on fertilizer. So they need bio-fertilizers, they need bio-pesticides, and or you have plants which can tolerate. You also have to have now plants, because soil is more hungry today than thirsty, it is argued. And hungry means we have funneled most of the micronutrients. So you need the materials which can tolerate these deficiencies in the environment. And in that respect, I do see great opportunities through genomics, marker-assisted selection, but again, capacity building is one challenge and which is needed to be addressed very critically and on priority. So I do hope such interactions, such linkages, learning from each other, we will be able to address all these concerns and issues and provide approaches and technology. Just to tell you about cotton, we were very much convinced, and that time we didn't have that better biosafety measures which today we have. But we went ahead and released, and in India was importing cotton. Now India is the largest exporter of cotton of more than $2 billion in last 1 decade. India was using 50% of pesticides only on cotton, and now farmers are using 50% less pesticide today in cotton because of other pests, not only Genomics. But then you can imagine that this much pesticide load on environment has been reduced, and our yields have doubled, which we never could exceed. So there are potential and opportunities, and only yesterday we were shown in the field that you could have drought tolerance, you could have also linked with it various other useful traits by which chickpea can be improved. But this kind of knowledge is to be imparted to all those who are using it in the field. And the concern globally is that less and less of germplasm now is being used in the national breeding program, and maybe they are more dependent on pre-breeding materials which are being made available to them from international centers. So that aspect also has to be addressed. Capacity development part, again, I am de-emphasizing, and I do see that we have a lot of opportunities, lot of challenges, but when we have interaction of this kind and we have meetings of this kind, obviously we can move forward. So I compliment ICRISAT, I compliment Dr. Gowda and Rajiv for having invited all of you. Gain is of our national system, no doubt. I don't know how much you have gained from interactions with the national partners here, but certainly we consider this as an important step forward, and I do hope that in future more and more of genomics use will be possible, because now you can target and you can definitely reduce the time lag, and you can achieve what you want, provided you are clear what you want and for what you want and for whom you want. And I think that part has to be kept into focus, because we cannot have only science for the upliftment or development of scientist himself, but we want science for the upliftment of society. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your words of wisdom, guidance and suggestions on different aspects related to biotechnology or genomics, and then your suggestions on the topic of the capacity building, learning from each other, sharing breeding material or pre-breeding lines from each other. These are really important. And many of us are already aware with many contributions of Dr. Paroda, so one of them that he played very important role to convert this National Agriculture Research Institute into National Agriculture Research System. So this was one of the important things also from Dr. Paroda. So, and I'm really sorry, sir, for putting you on the spot, but we wanted to have your guidance. And so this, and I know that this community has been greatly benefited by your words.